Beautiful. So now I'll say, welcome everybody. Thank you. Hopefully you've got your 3 things written down that you want to take away from this presentation, and we are moving on. Okay, so the first question for you tonight, and I want to get through this as quickly as possible because I want to get to the juicy videos a little bit later. If you can write out in the chat room for me as quick as you like, what are the basic needs of children? And Rick, Miana, especially for you, I've added your favorite thing in there, so I know that you'll nail this one tonight. Tommy, guys, let me know. You got it. Tommy, guys, you let me know when the chat room has sparked up and they've written down the basic needs of children. Anything, Tommy? Anything?
We have 6 responses.
Just read them off.
All righty. We have, now they're all piling in. To have fun, fun and challenging, fun learning and development.
All right, we're good. That's it. It's to have fun, to get better, improve. That's called development for us. And to belong. That's why we can't have this little girl juggling on her own, so we brought a twin sister over to help her out. Notice that they are at least 6 feet apart in this time of social distancing. And yet they're doing identical juggles. One is a righty, one is a lefty. Okay, here's the first breakout discussion of the evening. I want you to go into the room and I want you to make a quick list. I'm going to only give you 3 minutes tonight. We're going to go into the breakout room. For those of you that haven't been on our coaching conversation webinars before, you will be magically whisked off to a breakout room in a few minutes on Tammy's prompt, and you will have a discussion with the people who are in the breakout room with you about how do you define a skillful player, and what are some of the characteristics that you use to describe a skillful player. Your 3 minutes start as soon as Tammy says, by the way, how skillful is this young lady?
They're going.
Okay, enjoy your breakouts.
Did you say you want to give them 3 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, how did I get... okay. We're going. We have 2 people left in our room.
That's okay. Who have we got in there?
Doug Christelle. A guest. Has no name.
Okay, if you're in the main breakout room and you can hear me, because none of the others will be able to because they've been whisked off. So if you're in the main breakout room, how would you define a skillful player? Let's just have a quick chat about that. Come on, be brave. I only see Tommy and Lloyd. Tommy and Lloyd, you can go and have a jump around the breakout rooms, please.
All righty. Do you need a note on who's in what room?
Nope.
All right.
Not doing that tonight.
Are people just joining? Is that how I'm getting more people in this?
Yes, quite possibly. So if you're joining us and you're just coming into the main breakout room, you should be able to hear me. That means the audio is working just fine. What we're doing right now is we are coming up with some ideas on what makes a skillful player. And to assist with that, what we want is to have a little bit of a conversation between ourselves in this little room here on what characteristics do you have or do you think make up or describe a skillful player. So anybody is free to answer in the chat room, in the main room.
Somebody that continuously challenges themselves?
A player that continuously challenges themselves, okay? Yep. You can be a bit more specific, that would be great, but you're on the right path. Anybody else? Come on, don't be shy. This is a feature of the Massachusetts Youth Soccer Coaching Conversations. It ends up being a one-way coaching conversation. We try to not make it so. If you want, I can just have this little girl juggling 2 balls at once if you like.
Hello?
Anybody else got any ideas? Tammy, I'm going to give you a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's bring everybody back, please.
All right. And it's ending. They should be on their way back. Or stuck in cyberspace.
Okay. Did you manage to bring the cyberspace people back last week? Could you find them at the end?
No, I told Maureen they had to hang up and dial back in. Because they were just gone. I couldn't tell they were out there.
They're all coming back.
Yeah, we got that. All right, so welcome back. And for the purpose of tonight, and just to be a little bit more expeditious, don't want people to chime in after the breakout tonight at this point, certainly not at this point. All I want you to do is make some notes for yourself and see how your responses align with our responses. So if you had anything like reads the moment of the game, so they're identifying what's currently happening, why are they doing that? So that's going to help them decide, make the appropriate decision on which action to take. So I'm assessing, I'm looking at the game, and I'm figuring out what's going on. And as the ball's on its way to me, what am I going to do in this situation? And then once I've made that decision, I will maneuver, manipulate my body, and maybe even the ball, if it's at my feet at that point in time, to act out the player action that I'm going to execute to make the skill work. And then, after it's worked, after the outcome has happened, I'll take stock, think about it, or I will continue with the play, depending. If it was a successful outcome, I'll probably continue with the play. If it wasn't successful, I'll probably go into my shell a little bit and have a few thoughts on what I was thinking. So, yes, I had to put this in. This is especially for you, Mike. I know you love this clip. But if I was to think about a skilled player, this would certainly be in my thoughts as to what a skilled player is able to do. And what I would like to know is how many coaching sessions have you all run that would enable any of your players to execute that skill? Feel free to chime in to the chat box. We're now going to get into the 5 W's and the H for acquiring skill. Make your list. I'll give you less than a minute, 59 seconds. How about that? Tommy, monitor the chat box for me. Shout some things up when you see them.
Okay. How, what, when, who, why, where.
We miss it. It's magical. Okay, you've got the all 5 and the H. So what's happening? What exactly is happening at that moment in time? Where on the field is it happening? Who are the other people that are involved, whether they're part of my team or not? When is it exactly happening? What's the moment in the game that this particular moment is happening? And why would I execute the skill in the way I'm about to try to execute it? And how should I respond after that? So a little bit of reflection there. So if we go back to my favorite bit of video right here. So why does Wayne Rooney end up bicycling the ball into the goal? Why does he end up doing that? What's the reason that he did that? So Manchester United are on the verge of the attacking third, and there is space behind the defence that Rooney wants to get into. And because he's such a great player, the Manchester City players drop off and don't leave him offside. Unfortunately, he's gone in a bit too early and he's a bit too deep. So now what he has to do is he has to make the decision based on the approach of the ball, where he is in relationship to the Manchester City defenders, and then manipulate his body to execute that bicycle kick. So the reason that I want you to think about the 5 W's and the H for how, for acquiring skill, will become a little bit more evident as we get through further into this presentation. Okay, so the roadmaps. If you're not familiar with the roadmaps, this is the grassroots roadmap for attack. The roadmaps are designed as an observational structure. The observational structure is being created to help us all have a better structure for how to watch a game of soccer. And if you look up here, we've got the where, the why, the how, the what, and the who. And the only piece that's missing is the when. So the player actions dictated by the key qualities of a player, the variables in the roadmaps, may determine when this happens, what should I do? But the W's are there, at least 4 of them, where, why, what, and who. And the how is certainly in there. So we've got that piece. Now, what I want you to do is I want us all to focus right now on reading and understand the game, because if you're not able to read and understand the game, and again, think back to that Rooney clip there, his decision was he tried to get in behind the back line of the Manchester City defenders, went in a little bit early. Nani's ball ends up going behind him. He, with his back to goal, manipulates his body into that bicycle kick. So he had to take all that into account in a matter of seconds and maybe even microseconds at that point. Now, what he did was not pass or dribble forward. He definitely shot the ball into the goal. But for our purposes here, I want you to just focus on the player action of pass or dribble forward. So with the key quality of reading and understanding the game to make decisions, and the player action of dribble forward. Tell me, guys, you've got some work to do. All right, so let's watch this video. And what I want you to do is, again, on your own, watch this video, make some notes on events that happen more than once. So it's going to be about a 30-second video or so. And what I can tell you is it's the US under-17s men's national team versus Panama. Okay, so just make some notes on events that happen more than once in this little clip here. The US goalkeeper rolls the ball out and we're off. Okay, so really quick, and it's always difficult if you've never seen this before and you're watching it cold. I'm going to play it again one more time. It was quick enough that I believe we've got the time to do this. So here we are. Starts with the goalkeeper. Pass forward when possible. Pass forward when possible. You get the idea. And it ends with the cross that doesn't get met by the US attackers, but gets met by the Panamanian defender and gets cleared. So the question is, what did you see? Don't answer that yet. Don't answer, because I've got some questions I'm going to throw at you. And maybe you've already got the answers to these. And again, I'll open it up for the chat box. So the next set of questions that I have for you is, what observations did you make? And in terms of observations, what was the repeated player action that you observed? How many forward passes did you count? And so on and so forth down the list. And type into the chat room what you think you saw in those two little 25 to 30 second clips. Tommy, guys, you're up.
Players preparing themselves for the next action, move forward after making a pass, overlapping, move to space, players moving to open space, 4 to 5 forward passes,
Yeah.
quick decisions, no one held the ball, playing two-touch, body position open to penetrate if it's on, angle of pass to front foot, orchestrated from the first touch after keeper releases.
Is that about it?
Yep, and some repeats, but along a similar line.
All right, very good. So again, I titled this slide, Training Your Eye and Your Brain, because for skill acquisition, there are definitely 3 parts involved. There's the pre-action by the player receiving the ball, the inaction piece of the execution once they have received the ball, and that will include both the receiving and the next delivery on, also known as the pass. And then what was the post-action response of the player after the pass? Now, there was at least one occasion where the player who made the last pass also received the next pass. So here we go. Same video clip. No trickery here. All right, forward pass to the left-sided centre back, who's going to take the ball with his foot furthest from the ball. So he's going to prepare it for his favourite foot. Plays a left-footed pass into the midfielder, who had to understand the game, that this was their way of playing, that once the left-sided centre-back receives the ball, he was going to check away and check back to the ball to prepare his body to try to play forward. So there were some different things that this particular player had to do before he then delivered the ball on. That wasn't the best first touch you've ever seen, and because of that first touch, the next player then has to play the ball with the outside surface of the foot to... Oh, sorry. Go back. How dare you? Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. User error. So, across the body, furthest foot, plays the ball in, receives it, furthest foot, this player touch in the air, outside foot, back to that player who continues his run on to receive this pass, dribble forward, and then slides it in. I would suggest that the server did nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong. So were the observations that you made aligned with the pieces that I've just mentioned there? Were you able to pick up, and again, it was a really quick piece of video, but this is all designed to lead us into the second part of this presentation, where you're going to be asked what you're seeing and why you're going to decide to coach what you're going to decide to coach as we get further in. So it's all part of the layering in of information to take you to the place I'm trying to get you. So now we're going to look at children playing. This is a 7 versus 7 game. Tommy, if you can let me know. I should have asked this earlier. I apologize. If you can let me know whether this video plays for you guys, that would be helpful. About a 10-second video. Tommy, is it playing?
Yes. Yes, it's playing.
Okay. So the blue player plays the ball off. Well, let's just see if we can play that one again. Off the throw in. Nice ball across the field, right in front of the defender. Okay, so we're going to couple that with this next piece. So this isn't so much a build-up play. The keeper has punted the ball forward. Might be difficult for you to see on your screens. Forward's got the ball again. And missed opportunity. One more time. Goalkeeper punts the ball out. Missed control by the defender. And a shot that goes over the top. Okay, the question at the top is pertinent, and we'll let you go off and have a discussion after this one. Now, this one, you're not going to watch the blue team, you're actually going to watch the black and white team. You would coach that in your training sessions, this piece that he's about to execute. The thing that this little player does, I think it's this player, I'm pretty sure it is, in the next movement on in this sequence. This is about a 20-second piece. That did not hit the crossbar, even though it might have looked like it did. So again, watch the sequence. This player into the midfield, turns to dribble forward, passes forward, and there you have it. All right, so what I want you to do now is, Tammy, if you're ready, if we can put them back into a breakout room at this point, and I will give you 5 minutes to come back and tell me, based on those 3 videos, what would you coach? What would be your selection for your training session goal based on the 3 videos that you've just coached? Now, I understand it was 2 different teams. There was the blue team in the first 2 and the black and white in the second. But the same issue happened in all 3 clips. Big hint. So, Tammy, you count them down to the breakout room.
Starting it
and we'll
now.
give you 5 minutes. Okay.
Going.
Thank you.
You are going.
Steve Russo. I got prime time, Steve Russo. All right, Law, if you can generate some discussion in the main room, that would be helpful. How many breakout rooms we got?
4.
How's it working so far?
So far, so good.
Breakout room 4 is full. 5 out of 5. Breakout
Some
room 2,
people that
4
just-
out of 4. 1 has 3 out of 4, and 1 has 4 out of 5. So it looks
Yep.
like they're all pretty evenly split.
Except for there are
Okay.
people who don't go. I don't know. I'm going to try.
Yeah. Oh, who's this joined us back in the main room? Is it Jolly?
It is.
Hello, yeah. Yeah, I was trying out
How's it going?
yeah, not bad. So I was trying out the app, see how that worked for people. It's not too bad. You can't really see too much of the video. The video freeze frames and moves on, but the rest of it, it's actually
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah, and now you've frozen. What about them transitions between slides, though?
I like the crumpled up piece of paper and the curtain.
Oh, yeah. It's all, I told you, it's all the bells and whistles tonight. Law, you want to jump around, go to a chat room?
You're muted, Loy. You're muted. Can't hear you.
It tells me, hold on, I'm going to tell you what it tells me. It tells me to start using the breakout room, upgrade to Blue Jeans app.
Okay.
Stay where you are.
Maybe that's what several
and I'm
people
trying
have
to
done. How many
download the
people?
app and nothing happens.
Don't do it while you're in a meeting.
No.
No.
Tammy, how many people are unassigned?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
7.
4.
Any
Plus
of
the
the
3 of us.
unassigned people want to have a chime in on what they would coach based on those 3 videos?
I'm wondering if they're really like.
I don't think they're there.
No, they're on the phone. People who are the guests are on the phone, so they're dialing
Well, they're
audio.
not all
basically.
guests, because some of them I have names for. I mean, some of them are. 2 of them are guests. Lou is stuck. He doesn't appear to be. He appears to be here, but it's weird because their name is like in light gray, not
Yeah.
dark. So I don't know.
Where do you go to get those, Ian, where do you go to get those animations? I like them.
PowerPoint. They are the transitions. You know when you go up to animations?
Yeah.
They're the transitions between slides.
I'm going to have to take a look at that with you so you can give me a quick tutoring session to see
Rob,
that.
they let you out of the
Believe me when I say, you have seen nothing yet.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So Tammy,
For a short while.
yes, at least, yes, that's true. All right, Jolly, so you can answer this too. So when I minimize the screen that I can see faces on, can you see me doing that or no?
No, I mean on the phone app, I can
That's me.
slide between 2, so I can slide to see the presentation, or I can slide across to see the whoever's speaking. So at the moment, it's got Tammy on the screen and you and Loy in small little boxes.
Okay. All right, let's bring them all back then, Tammy, please.
Okie dokie. Ending breakout sessions now.
Yep.
10.
Welcome back. Should have some welcome back music.
Welcome back, Carter.
Ollie, there's been an Ollie Gunnarson sighting. Ollie, how are you? Don't you be turning your camera off.
Ooh, Tony
I'm
Marino's
good.
back.
I'm good, Ian. How are you?
Doing all right, considering everything. Not being able to go out. Doing all right. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Glad to see you. All right, is everybody back? Tammy? Tammy,
I
can
believe
you hear
so.
me, Tammy?
Yes,
All
I
right,
was
cool.
muted.
All
Sorry.
right, so into the chat room. And just tell me what your training session goal would be based on the 3 videos that you got to observe. Into the chat room. So Tommy, guys, hopefully you're back and you can monitor the chat
I'm
room
back.
for us. Yep. What they're coming up with.
Finishing in the final third.
Okay.
All 3 at aimless distribution need to work on purposeful passing. Attacking third
That's a bit
build-up.
harsh. These are children, coaches. These are children.
Mobility and support.
Yep.
Better touch towards the goal by the striker. Finishing from distance. Variety in attacking transition. Width versus narrow. The W's of support in the final third.
Okay. So I'm glad somebody's actually mentioned the W's. So we're going to watch this one again if we can. So I would suggest there is no aimless passing in this one. I think this is quite good, a good sequence of play, certainly for 7v7. That for me is the issue here. And I said the magical words for me, so goodness knows what that means. But it appears from this video there is a clear sight of goal at that moment the return pass was made. And I would suggest that that young fellow should be shooting the ball goalwards. And when we watch how it pans out, he takes an extra touch and has to pull the ball back. And his shot isn't quite as successful as he would like. Magical skill there. I thought that was a bit of a miscontrol, but it ended up okay because he ran into space. Great give and go here. Should have shot there, son. Dip your bread. Didn't quite get the shot. So let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can go back one. If we're talking about the aimless distribution, I would suggest that this is the video that's being referenced there. Yeah, it's just a long hoik forward. The poor old defender gives the ball up to the blue centre forward, and the issue being that the centre forward, similar to the young fellow in the first or the last video we saw, ends up putting the ball over the goal. So the identified issue of finishing in the final third, I would suggest, is it's pretty close. This was the first of the three. It's now the last. That's a great through ball. Why he let it go so far past him, I don't know. So again, we've got to think about the 5 W's. We've got to think about the 3 moments of skill acquisition. The pre-action, the inaction, and the post-action, followed by the reflection. So that the pre-action, inaction, and the post-action. So thinking about that, and again, making notes for yourself on what it is exactly that you would coach to help improve with these young players. We'll go with the idea of, and I've gone straight to the core activity here of a play practice, play training session. And what we did was it removed the guided questions and answers from this little activity. Now this activity is a 4 versus 5 to goal and target. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 blue versus 1, 2, 3, 4 red defenders and the red goalkeeper, who I can clearly see is in yellow and should be. So we've got 5 defenders and 4 attackers. Is this a situation that replicates anything that we just saw in the videos? A quick yes or no from you in the chat room. And understanding that it's not going to replicate video number 2 where the goalkeeper punted it. But video number 1.
Yes, sir, and a yes.
Yes,
Lots
sir.
of yeses.
All right, cool. So that's the first step, is the organization of our activity. Is it going to allow for this skill acquisition piece to come out? Now, if the focus is going to be on shooting to finish, or at least to get on target, let's now take a minute or 2 here. Got plenty of time left, 24 minutes left. Let's take a minute or 2 to come up with some guided questions that you would ask to the player who either took the shot and missed or managed to not take the shot because the moment passed them by. So what kind of guided questions would you ask to help them with their pre-action, inaction, and post-action skill acquisition piece? Tommy, I hope you're monitoring the chat box.
Yes, I am. When is the right time to shoot?
Okay, not a bad start. When is the right time to shoot? So what with that question, what's the intended outcome? A reflection piece for me to think about, okay, what is the moment when I've got the ball at my feet and I'm going to deliver a shot on goal? So there's some reflection involved in that question, which I really like. Does it help me in the pre-action? And again, doesn't have to. This is just food for thought for you, because this whole presentation tonight, this conversation is about how would we coach skill acquisition in a play, practice, play training session. And because of that, we're focused specifically here on the core activity.
So we have,
So
what would you do
question.
differently? How can you position your body in order to take your first touch towards goal? Where do you need to be in order to shoot? What should your body shape be when deciding to shoot?
Okay.
What do you have to do to get into position to shoot? What should you do if you find an opening? What can you do before the ball is played to you? How can we ready our bodies so that we have an opportunity to shoot quickly?
I like that last question a lot, because it's going to make me think about at least a couple of things. That was one of the things I was noticing as you were reading off the questions. And by the way, well done on those questions, because most all of them started with either a W or a H, if not all of them with a W. So well done there. What I would say is you got to think about now the terminology of your question. Are you just addressing one part of the three pieces of the skill acquisition? Are you just addressing the pre? Are you just addressing the in? Are you just addressing the post? And so try to get a blend of at least two of those in there. So how would you position your body so that you can get off a quick shot would really paint some good pictures and put some good ideas in a player's head. Because I now not only have to think about what I would do before it, but what I would do during so that the shot happened maybe a little bit quicker. Whoever wrote that question, and don't be shy to tell me you wrote that question, Tommy.
Lou wrote that question.
We'll send him a free invisible T-shirt. Well done, Lou. You'll look really good in it. That's outstanding.
Woohoo from
okay.
Lou.
There you go. Woohoo from Lou. Okay, so you said 4v5 was good, but maybe this is where you want to start. What it is always going to be about is what are your players capable of, assuming, taking a leap of faith here, that you know how your players play already. If you've never met them before and this spring season was going to be your first opportunity to meet up with them, maybe you don't know the answer to that. Maybe in a play, practice, play training session, going with 5 defenders is a bit too challenging for where their skill level's at. A way of making it slightly easier, as you can see in the diagram here, it's 4 versus 4, but Reds now only have 3 defenders, which increases the chance of success for the 4 blue players. And yes, I can clearly see there are 2 targets marked here, and here's the coach. But these players are not participating inside of the field. They're just outlet passes for the red team to play to. So you've got 4 attackers versus 3 defenders, which increases the opportunity to have success. So that's something I would make note of there. And then as we go to that's less challenging. Don't tell me you put less challenging twice. I did. Oh, there's the first mistake of the day. Congratulations, you've earned yourself a prize. All right. Any changes? That's the question I was asking here. Any changes that you would make to the activity? Let's take a minute. Let's think about now what I truly want to do to make this completely reality-based is think about the players that you have and think about trying to teach them to not only attack more quickly and successfully, but to get more shots than they currently do on goal. Look at this activity and tell me any changes that you might make and just throw them up into the chat room.
Ian, your Your voice is doing that thing. Your earphones are doing that thing again. Your microphone.
Okay.
It just started.
So we have maybe try at 3 versus 2, 3 versus 3.
Can't hear you. Hold on for 1 second, Tommy. Go ahead, Ian.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
Okay. All right, Tommy. Yes, thanks for that, Tommy. Tommy.
So everything is modifying the numbers from 2 versus 1, 3 versus 2, 3 versus 3. Increase the width of the fields.
Okay.
Change how the serve is coming. Establishing a line of confrontation. And a few people feel like you sound like Darth Vader.
I am your father. How was that? That was my best Darth Vader.
Much better. So and then
Great.
one that
Appreciate that.
says involve the build, use the build outline.
Yes, that would be helpful. That could definitely start your line of confrontation. The issue that you might see there is this is the build outline, BOL, build outline. That when the goalkeeper's got the ball, all of the blue players have to retreat to here. And now are you really focusing on attacking? Or is there an opportunity here? Not an opportunity. Is there a chance that you would start to coach the wrong side of the ball because of that? You've got to think about the cause and effect and the unintended consequences of using the different pieces of the field, even in the proper functionality of, in this case, a build outline, and you do have to step back behind it to allow the, in this case, the red team to be able to play that first pass and try to build out from the back. So you've got to be careful with those kind of organizational pieces, but it's a well taken point. I want to go back to the 2 versus 1 person. I truly believe that this is where we haven't probably serviced everybody in the best way that we probably could, because when we look at most every single grassroots training session, even that we created at Massachusetts Youth Soccer, and this is indeed one of ours that is on the screen in front of you, but when I think of all of the ones in all of the grassroots courses, there are not very many levels that start with a 2 versus 1, and I would suggest that a 2 versus 1 may be the best lowest common denominator in which you can start a game-like activity. You have potentially pressure of a defender, you have a decision to make whether to pass or dribble, that you different things that you can talk about in terms of the skill acquisition for the player off the ball, about how they position themselves pre-receiving, what they do with it once they've received it, and then the skill of the player who made the pass as to what they're going to do post-action after delivering the pass. So things to think about in terms of a play-practice play, that yes, most every one of our core activities, if not everyone, is attack versus defense. But that doesn't mean that we can't teach skill acquisition. And if you're brave enough and you're confident enough in your own ability, maybe you can do it in this environment in 4 versus 4. Maybe you can do it in 4 versus 5. You know yourselves better than I know you. But don't, I'm going to use the term afraid, and I'm not sure that you are afraid, but don't be put off by the idea that to take it to its lowest common denominator is the worst thing to do. The thing to watch out for there is, am I making sure that every single player in the team is getting enough opportunities, rotations, if you will, to have a good experience at the practice session? It might mean creating multiple fields. It might mean that. Okay. Anything else in the chat room, Tommy, before we move on?
Yes, a question from Garrow, and his question is, would you recommend switching players like a line change, or individually, would that be sufficient to get the players rotating in and out?
The answer to that for me would be yes. See how you've got in this, even in this diagram here, can you see these 2 players? Tommy, it's okay to say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so these 2 players, so let's imagine I've got 3 or even 4 players who are not immediately participating. Maybe it's the 2 targets and the 2 reds interchange with these 4 blue players, or maybe the the 2 targets and the 2 reds interchange with the goalkeeper and 3 reds. However you do it, I just wouldn't have these guys inactive. I would have them doing something. And maybe this is a moment for you to work on those technical pieces with players that aren't there yet. Have them do something that they can improve. Either it's one person or a ball, or maybe they're doing a partner activity, social distancing in mind, make sure they're at least 6 feet apart under the current auspices. But I just wouldn't have them. I wouldn't have them inactive. I'd have them doing what we call an active rest. So line changes are fine, so long as you figured out a way of keeping them all engaged in the practice. And I would certainly throw questions at them. Hey, did you see what was going on there? No, because you told us to do this. Well, what about trying to do that while you're watching the game? What does that help develop for the players who are not on the field? I'm now manipulating a ball while having to keep my head up and watch what's going on somewhere else. Might be something good to teach your players. What do I know? All right, Tommy, anything else? It was a good question. I appreciate it. Hopefully I answered it in a meaningful way.
Nope. Everything else is back towards the last comment, so we're ready to move on.
All right, so at the risk of repeating myself, repetition, repetition, repetition. So now we're going to watch a bit of an older girls game. I think we've got 3 clips here. Maybe we've only got 2. And just tell me what some of your thoughts are here. Talk about unintended consequences. And you thought the red team was dominating, didn't you? All right, we'll watch it again. We do have time. Lots of things to think of here. Lots of things. So just to frame it for you, to put it in context, you had an unsuccessful attacking opportunities by the red team, only to be counter-attacked with a successful attacking attempt by the white team. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Let's see if we've trained your eye any, if you've learned anything tonight. Okay, watch it one more time. Red defender regains possession. A skirmish in the box. Attempt to clear. Another attempt to clear. Still not out of there. And
Ian,
that's
some
the
people
video.
are having
Okay.
trouble seeing the video. It's freezing up,
Oh, yeah?
and some not having it
I
play.
don't seem to have access. Yeah.
Very choppy. It freezes, goes, freezes, goes.
Oh, my. You know, this is the problem with social distancing. If you guys were at my house, it's playing perfectly here. I know that's not helpful in any way, shape, or form. Tell me if this is any clearer. I don't know that it will be. Just shout up yes or no. If the answer's no quickly, I'm not going to play it for very long.
Karen? Not really.
Nope.
Okay. So that could be the internet connection in Virginia.
Or in Worcester.
Okay.
No, I
Or in
can see
Worcester.
it.
Well, good for those that could. I'm sorry for those that couldn't. We are going to load this up onto our website, so hopefully it'll become a little bit clearer. The first question I have for you before I get into what you would coach here is, what was the difference between the two videos? And don't say one was played smooth and one was really choppy. What was the difference between the two? Write that into the chat room. Which W might you think about addressing here? Do you see that?
Yes.
What does it say?
Donde?
Donde.
A little
First video
accent
was
on the
midfield
E.
issues. Second was defender issues.
First video was?
Midfield issues. Second was defender issues.
Okay, but so if we go into a grassroots thinking mentality, would it be fair to say, and you can answer yes or no, would it be fair to say that the first video was attacking in the opponent's half and the second video was trying to get the ball from our half into the opponent's half? So building out from your own half. Would that be fair based on the chat?
No response. Oh, yes. But we also have, then we have playing from the back in the second video.
Okay. All right, so this is the next question. How would you determine, if you were the coach of the red team, what you were going to work on at the next training session? You've just watched two video clips, which of course doesn't tell us the whole story, but you've just watched two video clips where your team was ultimately unsuccessful in trying to attack in the opponent's half, and they were really not all too successful at getting the ball out of their own half. There are clues in there that would give me an idea as the coach of the red team what I might think about working on with them next time. What do you think? Put it into the chat room for us, please.
Where and when
Tommy,
to move
anything?
the ball from the middle third to the attacking third. Habits you want to improve.
Yeah.
How to make better
Anything
and
else?
quicker decisions, pass versus dribble.
Okay.
Stretching the field to create passing options.
Okay.
First, where are the outlets? How can we play faster?
Okay, so it's all over the place. And for grassroots coaches, the thought process that we want to try to implement is, where on the field is it happening as part of the roadmaps? That's the observational structure piece. Where on the field is it happening? Was it happening in the attacking half, on the opponent's half, more than it was happening in our half? You saw two clips where they were unsuccessful. So as a coach, you just have to make that decision now. I'm going to work on getting the ball out of our half into the opponent's half, or I'm going to work on getting, when we're in the opponent's half, being more successful to create more goal scoring opportunities. Those are the decisions that you have to make. I'm not here to tell you, and nobody should tell you, it's one way or the other. It's you, that's your personal coaching philosophy. You would decide whether you're going to work on working out of the back or whether you're going to work on playing in the opponent's half, trying to go to goal. All you have to do next, though, is figure out, and these are just some examples, again, pulled from our training session plans. All you have to figure out is what are the skills that are involved and how are you going to devise guided questions that are going to help the players improve with those skills or acquiring those skills based on their pre-action, in-action, and post-action actions. And if I could say action one more time, I would. I did. Actions. So the pre, in, and post actions, how are you going to help them improve in those areas? That's the way that you coach skill acquisition. About them animations. I believe I'm a couple of minutes early, if anything. Yes, I'm 2 minutes early. I will open up the floor for any questions that you have for me at this time. Woohoo, I'm back. What do you mean I look better in the dark? Questions, come on. I agree with Lou. Yeah, me too. Well, I've got to thank you. You're very welcome. Any questions you have? Nothing. It wasn't that good. What I would suggest to you is that a training session plan in 2D, as I tried to show there on 6 of the slides, 3 each, the core, less and more challenging activities. A training session plan may not be the best place to list all of the questions that you need to ask. Based on the ability of your players, you need to figure out whether they need lower order questions to help them get to the answers earlier. That will help with their reading and understanding the game improvement, or whether you can ask more provocative questions that get them to think about the actions pre-receiving the ball or winning the ball back, and when they win the ball back or when they have the ball, what's the next thing they're going to do. So it's up to you as a coach to come up with those questions and understanding, again, the players who are in front of you, what are their needs, how do I keep it fun, how do I help them to develop, and make sure that we're keeping them connected through this period when we are not permitted to get together. I thank you all for your time. I will, Tommy?
A question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Would you prepare a session to teach your team how to better clear under pressure?
Up to you.
Would I personally? I would not. I would teach. Well, having said that, I wouldn't make it a session. I would make it clear to them there are 2 places on the field that I would suggest that one touch will work most all of the time. That is inside our box to get it out, and inside their box to get it in. So I would put that mindset on them, but ultimately what I want to try and do is develop soccer players and have them have better skill acquisition in terms of their ability to pre-receive, read the game in front of them before the ball's about to arrive at the feet, understand what decision they're going to make based on that observation of scanning, and then do better things with the ball, execution of skill, and then make sure they continue in the play to round out the whole thing. So I wouldn't put a session together on clearing, kicking the ball away. I would just let them know, for me, as your coach, it is acceptable for you to use one touch in these situations always. Inside our box, inside their box. Every other time, it's based on what's in front of us and what we are able to do with the ball. That's how we learn to read and understand the game. How about that for an answer? I almost feel like I was on a soapbox and maybe I'll sink down. Any other questions? You've been a wonderful audience. Hopefully you've got something out of this. I asked you at the beginning, that was an hour and a little bit ago now. Please write down 3 things you'd like to take out of this conversation tonight. If we haven't answered one of the 3 things, or we haven't addressed if I haven't addressed one of the 3 things, stick around. I'll stick around for another 5-10 minutes, and we'll see if we can answer your questions offline. Other than that, thank you very much. Please stay safe. Make sure you wash your hands. Pay attention to the news, because things are changing, and we just need to be mindful of how they are changing. But stay home, stay safe. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.